Bobby R. Henry Sr., publisher of the Westside Gazette out of Fort Lauderdale, Florida. First of all, it's a personal issue with me.
Okay, how so?
I have a family member. My daughter is HIV positive. Yeah, she's been for over 20 years, I would say. This was during the summer, I think it was July, and she called me on the phone, and she said, "Dad, I got something to tell you." And I said, "What is it? You know, I know you told me you were going into the Air Force, so what is it that you?" And she said, "I got a letter from the Air Force, and it was from the medical people, and they told me that I needed to get checked again because I'm showing that I'm HIV positive." So, you know, whoa. It shocked me first. You know, I mean, I was totally blown away. This was my little girl, you know.
Had to be hard.
Especially when you wasn't there. But you can't blame yourself.
But wait a minute, hold on. You're being there. You weren't going to be with her 24 hours. So you know, is that some guilt you put on yourself?
You question yourself. If you were, could you have made a difference?
But is that fair to you?
Fair, George?
Mm-hmm.
If I were to sit and really thought about it, which I have, but somehow I just can't seem to shake it. If we as people would talk about this deadly disease. Now, I had a brother who was incarcerated, you know, and he contracted the virus through a blood transfusion. He got cut when he was in prison. So he got a blood transfusion. Now, we all went to see my brother when he was on his dying bed. And, you know, so that was my brother. And then my daughter. Now, and I wonder how many other families that are affected in this manner. I had two aunts, older aunts. I'm not talking about young aunts, I'm talking about older aunts. It had to be at least be 60, you know, their boyfriends who were messing with these young girls, brought it home. You know, so it's something that has touched our lives, you know. As ugly as it is, there's a sense of beauty also. You know, the fact that we could perhaps help some other families understand and deal with this thing, not to run from it and hide from it, you know, but to embrace it and find out what could you do? You know, what could you do? How can you tell a young girl, or how can you point a young boy in a direction to go? Like, say, you don't have to have sex right now. That don't make you a man. You know, you don't have to do that. Or you're more than just a piece of meat, you know. So your father wasn't there, you whatever. You know, you still have your life. You still have to be a lady. About 2 years ago, she was speaking to a group of kids about HIV/AIDS, and she didn't know I was there. I was in the back, in the back.
Take your time. It's okay.
Mm-hmm.
It's okay. I mean, it had to be.
Yeah.
Had to be tough.
So, as she was delivering her speech, she was talking about how you couldn't catch AIDS just from touching somebody, or how people would treat different folk with AIDS. And as she was speaking, I got up and I walked from the back of the room. She could see me coming. So she said, "Oh, that's my daddy." I didn't know he was here, whatever. So I came up to the podium where she was, and we hugged and kissed. And she always said that her family didn't reject her or treat her any different. So right then, I decided that wherever she spoke, that I would be there to support her and give my side of the story from a father's standpoint, accepting that his little girl did some things she shouldn't have done, and because of that, she's now infected with HIV/AIDS, but it doesn't stop the love. As a matter of fact, it increases it. It helped me to understand that HIV/AIDS is not an alone disease. You know, it's a disease that embraces and captures all of us. You know, you just can't get it by yourself. So why should you live with it by yourself? The advice I would give them, well, this may cliche, corny, or whatever. Pray. You know, in all things we should thank God. So I would tell them to thank God for that child's life. Him or her are still there. You know, you got them. As long as they're here, you have an opportunity. So I would tell them to first thank God for whatever it is. And then I would tell them to talk. Support them, you know. Encourage them to tell other folk. The world becomes smaller when we communicate. So if we encourage them to talk about it, through them communicating, some of their pain is freed. You know, the fact that they're able to talk and they don't have to hold it in anymore. Well, I told you I'm HIV positive. I know you're going to tell somebody else, so I'm telling you. You don't have to, you know, and you can't catch it by me touching you or holding your hand, you know. So just communicate with them and love them even more.